We will pivot to our third topic, Mike. Another not great one, and this has been a long developing one, but you and I actually had an opportunity to sit down and talk to a couple of folks who work at our local shops and talk about the impact of this. And then we're seeing it on a larger scale. Diamond went bankrupt. Diamond, absolutely seemed to mismanage so many things. We know there's been a lot of publishers affected by this. Very publicly, we're seeing this week Dynamite Comics, apparently they're owed like $1 million by Diamond. They're apparently not being able to get a payout of that, and because of that, Dynamite seems to actually be having trouble making payroll, which could cause Dynamite to shut down or be significantly affected by this. Huge for me with Dynamite. Dynamite produces a James Bond comic book, so I don't want Dynamite going anywhere. But this diamond industry, this diamond problem that we've had, this seems like it's affect. We talked to a couple comic store owners that me and you know. Big thing that we heard is this was affecting shops for a long time with Diamond, as far as books not coming in on time, them not knowing when the books were going to get there. So, placing orders for books and then having to tell customers, hey, your copy of Daredevil isn't coming this week, it might be next week, and that, potentially customers moving to different stores that did have the book or moving to digital altogether. We also heard a lot about, smaller publishers, Diamond being, or Dynamite being one of them, but even some of those smaller ones below that where books aren't able to get out anymore. There's no publisher to get their work. This just seems to be an absolute, for lack of a better word, crap show. I won't use the curse words there, but it seems to be going awfully. Mike, when you hear all of this with Diamond and how this is going, what comes to mind for you?
But since I've been collecting comics as an adult, they were the only game in town. So they kind of had a monopoly. This goes way back to the old days. And if you don't know your comic book history, uh, Donenfeld and Leibowitz, the creators, the inception of DC, of course, with MC Gaines, um, they came out of distributing pulps. So, but they knew the importance of the distributors early on, and a lot of money traded hands in distribution, for better or for worse. But Donenfeld, by all accounts, was really heavy-handed with his distributors. He made sure his books got out, but a lot of shenanigans went on with distribution, safe to say. And as the old distributors fell apart in the 60s and 70s, other people started to come in and take that place because it's a profitable business. Um, but there's no competition with Diamond for 40 years. And so I do feel like things went sideways. And when they were the only game in town, they were the only game in town. I will say in more recent times, DC was on the ball and
Lunar, yeah.
saw this coming during, and finally, put their foot down and said, no, we'll have Lunar and we'll use, I think, Midtown had a good distribution system. We'll find another way. We're through with you, Diamond. Marvel was left in the lurch to struggle along with all these other indie publishers, and Diamond carried them through the pandemic and out of the pandemic. But the wheels were falling off the bus, and as I understand it, a lot of these indie publishers really had no viable option. They
Yeah.
weren't able to get on with Lunar, and Penguin Random House was not open to them at this point, although now they are. Um, one, there's a couple of good things about Diamond, but in the end, they really they really messed up the comic book companies, especially the indies. And but one good thing that they comic shops did agree is their software was the bomb. They loved
Yeah.
how they ordered, and getting used to, now they have to have two different software platforms to order for Marvel and DC, and I mean Marvel and the indies, and DC and some of the indies. But it's going to be painful. But I think having these two different distributors, Penguin Random House
And
and
Lunar.
and Lunar, I think is going to be a good thing because you'll have competition, and when there's competition, it usually breeds innovation and success. So it's about time. But I did not like some of the things I was hearing about how Diamond is handling their bankruptcy. A lot of people have inventory that's left over there that
Yep.
they're not getting back, and that Diamond might be liquidating to pay other debts rather than give them their. And there's a lot of bad things happening right now, and I really
Seems
don't.
like the smaller publishers are the one paying the price on that, and that's
And I
it's
like
terrible.
Dynamite. I don't want to see Dynamite go under. I don't want to see anybody go under, because we need more indie right now. And I just feel like somebody will come in and save them or whatever. I don't know.
No, I mean, hopefully there'll be a solution for it. I know Dynamite's doing some like fundraising kind of stuff to keep things going. I mean, just talking to the local comic shop folks we do, they talked a lot about how some of these smaller shops in town got undone by this though. The delays had customers move on, unshared timelines, stuff like the comic book boxes that you and I love. Those are seem to be done. You've got Diamond Select toys and stuff like that that seems to be gone. I mean, there's just a lot of things that were left in the lurch by this, and sadly it's the local comic book shops and the smaller publishers that are paying the price, and your DCs and your Marvels, they were able to get ahead of it, and they have the mega companies behind them that could float something like this. So sadly it's not going to be Marvel and DC that really pay for this. It's going to be your Dynamites, your Titans, your Oni Press, those kind of smaller companies, and
Don't
unfortunately it
mess
doesn't
with
seem to be.
Titan.
Yeah,
Don't mess
hopefully
with
nothing with Titan.
or
But
Dynamite. Don't mess with either one of those.
yeah, no, especially in a growing market where indies, like you said, are becoming more and more prevalent. We need
And
more
Ghost
options for
Machine.
that.
What's
Yeah,
going to happen to Ghost Machine?
well, they're with Image. I think they've pivoted over, but I mean,
Oh, that's right.
it's just sad what happened, and it's one of those things where because of the unsurety that Diamond had for so long, there's a lot of shops that already paid the price for this, and whatever resolution comes is too late. They already had to close up their shop. One of the stores me and you go to. I mean, we live in San Antonio. We live the store that what's it, Dragon's Lair that you go to. That's a really popular shop, very populated era. They talked a lot about how they were losing customers hand over foot because they just didn't know when they were going to get their books. And in a thing like comic books, where you've got reliant readers, your Wednesday warriors who know, man, hey, on Wednesday I go pick up my X-Men, my Spider-Man, my Daredevil, and you start having where, hey, man, we might have Daredevil next Friday, but I can't tell you it's going to cost you. And sadly, that's been what we've seen out of this. Let us know though. What do you guys think about with what's happened with Diamond? Has this affected you guys at your stores, and how do you think this could be resolved? Hopefully, something will happen for Dynamite to keep them going because they seem to be getting kicked in the teeth on this more than anybody.